The Coffee Grinder and the Green Ray by Davy Clincart. Chapter 1. The Taste of Salt. When I jumped on the back of the Kawasaki, I had no way of knowing how that ride would instantly change my entire life. What I was confronted with shook my world so profoundly and irrevocably that it was only later I realised. He knew. Was it an act of loyalty and friendship? Is the truth ever kind? Was it not destructive? His burden, my consequence. There is no colophon to explain his rationale. Thursday evening, cold. A spiky, hard hoar frost forms on the untidy shrubs. Cracked, uneven slabs rock in the eroded dry sand bed. Icy puddles with ferns glistening under the street lamps. The inky gloom of a Scottish winter, like a heavy, damp Calvinist cloak, and the oppression of deadlines looming. My only outstanding work still to be completed and hopefully paid for. Then the obsequious arse-licking to try and get more. I could hear the exhaust note and the revs being pulled above the rattle of the aged central heating. Billy pulled up outside the Galvey steel front gate that was lying skew-whiff against a crumbling concrete post. He kicked out the side stand and stumbled up the path. I didn't often see Billy during the week. It was mainly weekends when I had time. Sometimes it had been years without seeing each other, but he was always the same. I felt I had known him all my life. Old Billy, for he had always seemed old, had taken early retirement in his 50s. No one was really sure what age he actually was. He had looked the same for the last 20 years or so that I had known him. He always wore a string vest, and he always had a greying beard. Billy was a biker, an alehouse philosopher, a lover of classical music, and my tech teacher cum mentor. Fire blades and foray. Guess you'd be on your Todd tonight. Grab your skid lid, there's a wee place we've found out in the Dalveen Pass. Hell, Billy, it's not the best night to be horsing down B roads on a vintage bike. Just like the Honda 4, the Kawasaki 400 Triple had acquired the motorcycling nomenclature of the Coffee Grinder during the 70s. It was due to its percussive sound and the exquisite symmetry of the sculpted exhaust downpipes, like a work of art decor in cobalt-tempered tubular chromium. Still, cold or not, it would be good to ride in this lovingly restored relic of a time when there was enjoyment to be had in the roads of this country. Not so now. There are few I would be comfortable riding pillion with in these conditions, but I knew I could trust Billy to circumnavigate the patchwork quilt of potholes and substandard comms company road repairs. It took us 40 minutes. The roads were quiet at this time, and it was good to be outside. Billy said nothing. The ride was harsh and underdamped, and I gripped the grab bars tight and could feel the cold of the metal through my gloves. Up through the pass, Billy picked his braking and turning points well, and the old bike responded. The discordant exhaust note of the high-revving Triple, echoing along the glen, bouncing off the steep, scree-covered slopes and upwards towards the cloud base, like the offstage horns in the Marcia Triomphale. We pulled into the red gravel car park of the recently reopened hotel, avoiding the iced puddles and the road-working plant. There were still contractor site huts and 40-foot steel containers awaiting removal 3 months after the hotel had commenced trading. It must have been a brave decision. Was there really that much Christmas trade to be had out here? It was only when we got close to the hotel bar entrance that I noticed his car. The halogen floodlights picked out his personalised number plate. "Look, Billy, that's Norrie's car. What's he doing out here? He's been working away Monday to Friday for the last few months, so I've not seen much of him." Norrie was in my class at school, and eventually we worked together at Holroyd's. I managed to introduce him to the contracts manager, but he got the job under his own steam. He was good, and although we were different departments, we often collaborated and worked well as a team. We got our rewards as well, and had some great nights out in the town. I would often stay at his flat after a drunken corporate junket, and reciprocated with our spare room, or the couch if the room was full of junk. Billy remained silent as we walked towards the door, past the amber fire glow through the large, cheap softwood windows. As I glanced in, I saw the unmistakable shape of his close-cropped head, fashionable, aggressive, sitting proud above the high-backed chair. I looked again, past him this time, and saw her sitting opposite. She was smiling, leaning forward, absorbed. She looked like an old picture of herself. I could see her eyes, her upturned mouth. It was a look so familiar to me, but a look I had not seen in Ian's. Slowly, he leant forward, and as I watched, he cupped his hands around her cheeks as if cradling porcelain. Then he kissed her mouth passionately. I froze, unable to take in this 15-second video clip of my world disintegrating, melting like a Dali clock. My body temperature soared and my head felt light, immobilized. Everything was moving in slow motion, like the milliseconds before the impact in a car crash. Survival and procreation instincts merge in my brain. Gradually, reality is confirmed, and real reaction overtakes shock. "I will kill him! Her! Them! You absolute... I was screaming as two leather-clad arms wrapped around me like a vice and dragged me away across the car park. His grip felt as strong as the storm winds that now blew up the glen, accelerating into the Bealach where the hotel stood. "You'll end up doing time if you go in there," Billy kept repeating. I tried not to totally lose control, but I was angry, threatened, humiliated, resentful at being restrained. I wanted to kill them both. And I was scared. Why did this have to happen? The unknown is a scary place. It is black and purple and cold, like space, like the sky. There are no stars and there is no light. With a cruel adrenaline-fueled backswipe of my elbow, I escape from Billy's grip and make for the entrance of the bar. I'm not sure what I would have done if I'd got inside the bar, but as I reach the front steps, I'm taken down by a rugby tackle, and I hit the frozen gravel, feel the ice on my face, taste salt, and smell betrayal.